Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. It's the Artcasters on a special Sunday edition.
Sunday.
We've gone mad.
Yeah, the madness is gonna ensue like crazy on this stream on this Sunday.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
That's right, and if you guys are in the chats, get ready for a crazy introduction. We've got a Corey Kerr. Corey,
on Sunday.
Where can people find your amazing artwork?
You can find my stuff at CoreyKerr.com, and if you would like to win or buy a shirt, hoodie, or thing, go to CoreyKerr.com/store.
Store. That's stores for everybody. And if you aren't familiar yet, we have our other co-host and guest, Mr. Scott of the Serkland.
That's worse than the crumble. Yes, so you can find my work on my website, circworks.com, or my newly relaunched YouTube channel at Circworks Art Labs on YouTube. Sunday.
That's right. If you're into monster trucks and wild action, as well as autobiographical books that talk about faith and mental illness, you should check out the Kremlinator at joshuakemble.com, or just subscribe and hit like and the bell on this channel so you get notifications when we're about to go live. That's right. Let me try to shut off this rock music. You guys, I feel like we need to do an entire stream like that. I'm inspired.
That was maybe the weirdest Macho Man Randy Savage impression I've ever heard.
I don't know. I've got a wrestler like deep in my soul.
I gotta listen to this back.
Hopefully you guys, it was pretty good, Scott, with the echo. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this special Sunday edition of Artcasters. Our guest this week is a very special guest. He's our co-host, Scott Serkland. He just recently rebooted his YouTube channel. So if you guys haven't checked this out yet, you need to. So our topic's going to be about like rebooting, basically scrapping and starting fresh. And so Scott's done a lot of work on his YouTube channel. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of that. There's a bit of AMA with this too. Ask me anything for people who are like me and boomers and not familiar with what AMA even means. But if you guys want to ask Scott any questions as we're going, just feel free to write a question in the chats. And of course, we will take super chats 100%, and those will get highest priority for questions. And then aside from that, we have a list of questions that were submitted before as well that we'll be getting into. But I think before we dig into the topic, I think that Corey, do you have the thing you wanted queued up?
Yeah, so as a special, since this is YouTube, reaction videos are huge, and so I have a reaction video of somebody watching Scott's new rebooted channel.
Oh, I love.
Will it come on Scott Serkland's video, or is it coming in Scott Serkland's house?
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about my message.
Oh, your message?
Yes.
We're going to send it to his house. We'll send it to his phone.
Okay. Back on the video?
Back on the video.
Okay, I forgot how difficult that was, but fortunately, I think I'm still good enough doing his cut on a sticker.
Popping balloons. I hate them.
Stickers growing up.
But that one had flies on it. Don't you want a taco with flies on it?
No,
Why not?
because it's disgusting. Yeah, that's disgusting. What?
They're good. I think they would taste good. I think you should eat them.
No, they're disgusting. And that one has more. And the taco has burrito. And the taco. Ew.
There's an eyeball in that one.
Yeah, and there's a worm in that one. Dad,
Yeah.
More?
You want to listen to more?
Yeah.
More of Scott's channel?
Yeah, but
This is just an advertisement.
Dad, what was that advertisement?
What do you think?
That was gross.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. What's funny is because, like, you know, I figure, you know, one of the things that I'm doing as I kind of reinvent this channel and everything is I've got like an avatar, you know, that I created, and that's kind of who you market it to, you know, and the avatar is probably some 40-year-old guy who collects toys and, you know, and probably works as a programmer, has discretionary income and all that stuff. But even though that's kind of the core audience that I'm shooting for, it's cool that I think it spans over generations. I think a lot of people, even if you didn't grow up in the 70s, 80s, or 90s and know some of this stuff that I'm kind of recreating, this nostalgic stuff, I think people can get into it, and it's cool. And I'm hoping that like families will actually sit down and watch some of this stuff together. So
yeah, well, he enjoyed it. He kept asking me afterwards, Dad, why was Scott Serkland in jail? Why was he in jail?
Yeah.
Dad, that was disgusting.
Okay,
that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue to one of my first questions. Can we just jump into the questions?
Yeah.
Scott, you have a new. This is my own question. I'm being selfish because I'm the host here, so it's like why not? You have a new underground lair. Without giving too much away for people.
Well, people have seen it. I mean, I assume if they watch the channel, but yeah, it's
so there included in it is like a pretty badass like sci-fi style door with like it looks like a sliding door with like lights next to it, like embedded in the wall.
It's an airlock.
Yeah, so all of this fabrication of like an airlocked door, it's kind of just like it's like the underground lair before was kind of an insane amount of fabrication, and then you kind of leveled up. So my first question is, what like how is that set up? Is that still in a closet? Is that in your new space? And then the second part is, do you want to talk just a little bit about making that, because it's like it's fascinating to me just to look at that, like what you used. I'd be kind of curious to hear.
It's funny because I started building this set before I even decided that I was going to do something different with YouTube, just because for one, my girlfriend moved in, and if anyone isn't aware, I've got two walk-in closets, like a his and her walk-in closet, and they're identical, but one of them was my one of them was my closet, and the other one was my studio. I mean, just where I shot the videos. I mean, it's very small, so you can't really do much in it other than, I mean, if I panned out even a bit from my older videos, you'd see a door, and then you'd be in the bathroom. So, so that's kind of what I was working out of right now. So now I've moved everything into what was a spare bedroom, and I've just got tons more room. I can do I'm in this, that's the room I'm in right now. So I've got this backdrop here, which is the mural, which already existed. That was kind of like the spare bedroom that I did. And I had an art desk in here, but I hardly ever used it. But now it's like, now I've got a standing desk that, you know, that I built, and I've got my Cintiq and my monitors, do you have your lights, and
do you have your ATEM? Do you have your ATEM hooked up right now? Can you show different cameras?
Yeah, but I don't have any other cameras hooked up to it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and Corey came down one weekend, and he was helping me set all this stuff up, and then we actually had to reset everything up because we had some computer issues. But now I've got, I mean, and I'm ready to do my first kind of live stream on the channel, which is
very exciting.
The schedule is going to be that I'm going to put out an edited video every other week, because they take a lot longer to, like, seriously, they take, and I'm hoping I'll get it a little more streamlined so it won't take as long, but seriously, they can take like 40 hours to do a video, and, you know, and so I'm putting a considerable amount of investment and time and also money in the studio. So right now I'm kind of like, but I'm kind of all in. So like I last year was a good year. So I did a lot of investing in this, and now that kind of money's going down. But so I'm going to go hard and just, really making this channel work. So, but I'm really confident that I can build this into actual, I was telling this to my girlfriend. She says, don't stop saying build it into a business. It is a business, and you got to think of it like it is already. So, which is the case. So that's kind of how I'm treating it and everything. But I'm having fun. I mean, it kind of rejuvenated my whole love of YouTube and everything like that. And it just, I don't know, it just kind of all came together. Like I said, I started building this studio before I even knew I was going to do something different.
Yeah.
And then when I'm like, I posted that video about 3 months ago that I was going to step away from YouTube. And at that point I kind of knew what I was going to do, but it came down to me. Like, I felt like I was just spinning my wheels. Like, yeah, I've kind of said everything I want to say, and I want to do something a little more fun, a little more entertaining. And it's not like it was like a separation
and not a divorce with YouTube, right?
Yeah. And it wasn't, and I wasn't too sure when I first put this out if I get feedback like, oh, you're kind of trying to sell out, or I won't, what happened to the comics content and stuff like that. But I haven't had anything like that. And it's not like I'm doing this instead of I was going to stop doing the other thing. So it was either me stop doing that and not do anything, or me shifting gear. So it's not like it would have went on like that, like it was, instead of this. But there's still, but the core fans who are mostly comic book fans, I mean, I was pretty sure that they would still be into what I'm doing now, because it's taking things from like ads and things from the back of comic books. And so if you're into that kind of stuff, then you'll probably be into it. And so far I haven't had all the feedback I've got has been pretty positive. So that's pretty good. Now, the next step is kind of reach out, because like, if you look at, and I've been diving into analytics and things like that on YouTube, and it'll tell you like, your viewers also subscribe to these channels, and it's all like cartoonist kayfabe, stuff like that. And I want that I want to get more like, oh, people who subscribe to you also subscribe to like a 1000 or like a steady crafting or like maker channels and things like that. So I think once those people kind of see what I'm doing, I think that's going to help everything grow and everything.
100%. So there is like a total, like, I agree with you. Like, it's not a complete deviation from comics, because I feel like a lot of the, the nostalgic type of stuff that you're kind of working on this, it is like kind of hand in hand with, like the ads that were in comic books. It's got like, I mean, I don't know a lot of people who like are fans of comic books who don't like, like the types of stuff that you're going to be working on. But with that in mind, before we kind of dip into some questions from the community, and obviously field it to Corey after this too, just in case he has any before we get into it. I think it'd be good. I guess I probably jumped the gun by asking about the fabrication of the extra, like the new underground layer, because it's just fast. I mean, it's amazing. You have like LED lights like installed. It's really cool. It's if you guys haven't watched Scott's new video, what are you doing? Make sure you guys check it out. But so I think it would be good. Maybe I should have probably started off with, what is the rebrand? Like the premise of your channel. There's kind of like 3 rules that appear kind of to be, at least in the first few videos. We've gotten a sneak peek. So do you want to kind of explain the premise of the rebrand? And then maybe the reason for the rebrand,
Yeah. So the basically the concept is reverse engineering nostalgia and novelties from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but putting my own spin on it. So anything I make, I want to make it my own, because I don't want to just totally duplicate what's like with the gross stickers. I wasn't creating my own Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
I took that concept of all these gross stickers, wacky packages, Garbage Pail Kids. There's tons of them. And the live stream on Tuesday coming up, I'm going to be unwrapping all kinds of, I've got tons of wax packs of all these different brands of grow stickers from back in the day that I'm going to be opening and doing kind of an unwrapping and stuff. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
But,
it should be.
and so the live streams also, I know I'm kind of all over the place, but the live streams that follow the edited video every other week will tie into that previous video, and then it'll be a new project and another live stream. And then, so some of it may go more in depth in the process of whatever I'm making, because some of it's kind of quick and everything, and people ask questions and all that stuff.
I love it.
But yeah, so that's kind of the concept, but I want to put my own spin. I want to make it my own, because I don't want to, you probably, I'm just not totally big on fan art, but I understand the idea that, yes, with fan art, you're tapping into this audience that already exists, and it's like free marketing, because, so it's kind of, I'm trying to kind of straddle that line where, yes, I'm tapping into people, oh, you remember Garbage Pail Kids? Oh yeah, well, I know what that is. Here's my version, but I'm going to do something a little different.
Yeah. So what Scott's basically, saying here is, he's taking like nostalgic items and products and illustrations and stuff like that, like things that were kind of things in the past that were really cool, like gross stickers or gross cards, and kind of making these things. And then you have like 3 rules, I think, for the
and the rules and the way I'm approaching this is, I'm putting this stuff out there, and as I go, I'm going to learn and I'm going to adapt. So it's very possible. Like, one of the things I'm not sure about, and I'll probably do, as I keep going, I'll kind of find out what the audience is into. Yeah. And I'll find out what, are these people actually, do they just want to watch somebody make cool stuff, or do they actually want to try to make it themselves? Because right now I go a little bit in depth and like, oh, these are the, in Photoshop, this is the action you do and things like that. It may get to the point where I just do the project, and then maybe in a newsletter, I can break all that down if people aren't as interested in actually following. Because I imagine there's going to be people like, the people I think can enjoy this, even if they aren't going to follow the steps and things like that. Yeah. So those rules, they may stay. Right now they're there, but they may kind of change or whatever. But the basic rule is the 3 rules, if I can remember them. I've got a chalkboard thing over here, but it's be true to the original. So it's I want to take something from the past. 60s or 70s, 80s, and 90s usually, and then kind of do my own homage to it. But I want it to be true to whatever that was. Yeah. The other thing is, I wanted to use common everyday tools and materials. So, and that could be, it could get to the point where we're using 3D printers or things like that, because those are pretty, people can, nowadays they're at the point where a lot of people can do those. But it may get to the point where, I was joking, I've got a long list of things, and this isn't on the list, but it could be. If the channel gets big and if it continues to grow, who knows? I might build like a McDonald land playground in my backyard with the old like Big Mac that you go.
Dude, yeah, the Hamburglar, or what was the hamburger
the Big Mac
that you crawl inside of? Yeah,
it was the Big Mac. Amazing. But it had a that's just a crazy idea. But
or like
who knows?
Giant Bob's Big Boy,
Yeah, stuff like that. It could go as crazy as we want it to go. I don't know, but at least in the beginning, I want to try to use things that people can people can acquire.
And I think that's cool, because I do think there's like going to be a community of people who like just watching, and you've definitely we'll get into the editing too when I ask a couple questions later on after the list of questions. But I think that there's going to be an audience that because you've edited it so efficiently and well, it's like really entertaining, really fast paced. And so I think you'll have an audience for that, but also you'll have the audience that like really wants to watch and digest and kind of follow along, and hopefully stumble upon people who maybe are like, man, I've always wanted to make those like wax packs things. And then boom, there's Scott Serkland. It's like, and I feel like the more you branch out, you're going to have a pretty broad audience. Cause again, like there's a lot of people who connect with that nostalgia stuff. And then there's a younger generation, like Corey's kid, that might connect with it as well. Cause retro is always cool. So, Corey, like before we kind of get into the community questions, Corey, do you have any questions you wanted to throw to Scott real quick?
No, I've asked him a lot of questions. I'm trying to, I'll interject as they kind of come to me, but, yeah. So I've been kind of immersed in it for the last month or so. So,
okay. So we'll start it off with a question fielded by Jim Luhan, where he said, what creatively makes you the most happy right now?
Honestly, this whole thing, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I decided to shift focus, because, you know, I, as much as I love comics, I mean, I got to do that for like 8 years and I'm still making comics. Obviously, I'm still working on Young and the Dead and everything like that. But when I was growing up, you know, I had, you know, my dad's big old camcorder thing way before, obviously before cell phones. And we used to do these little SNL bits. And so I like doing that kind of stuff. And in some of the future videos, you'll see there'll be characters and stuff like that. Like there was a little, in the one that just came out, there was a little bit where I was, where Maddox was talking about why did he get arrested? Because, you know, I had all this, I had a mood board of all this gross stuff that could be incriminating if you look at, you know, if you don't know the context of it all. So I'm like, so I got arrested because like they thought I was a serial killer or something like that. So I have little bits and things like that interjected. And if you haven't seen the videos, they're way more highly edited and everything. And that's also something that I'm improving. Like I got some feedback as far as some of the audio, so I'm trying new audio things. So it's rather than just like going back, because I showed some of the videos to you guys and some other people and got some feedback, but I wasn't going to go back and change that. I'm like, oh yeah, that would be better if I did that. I'll look at doing that in the next video. So it's a process, you know. You don't want to keep tweaking the same video over and over again, but things will continue to get better and things like that. But
yeah, kind of like the comic advice we give all the time too, right? Where it's like, if you end up in that forever perfecting the one, you're never going to finish a page, you know? So I think that's good. Like take the feedback, put it in the next, you know, and constantly build this thing.
But I love doing all that. I love making videos and now, you know, and it's funny, back then didn't know anything about editing. So all those old videos, the couple of the first ones, because my dad wouldn't let us use the camera, you know, he'd have to film it because it was expensive. He didn't want us to break it. So he'd go, to start off, he'd go, okay, now. So, and we didn't know how to edit. So it was all linear. We just cut a thing. So every video was like, okay, now. And then we started.
Nice.
So you know, it was, but anyway, but now with all this technology, I mean, you know, I think, you know, it's funny. I was thinking about this. If I would have grown up, you know, in the time when YouTube was coming up, I'd probably be some huge YouTuber or something, because I would have totally been making all kinds of videos and things like that.
Yeah. I don't know if people are aware of that. There was like a whole era in time where, you know, like people did not have, this is for anybody out there who's younger. It's like there was an era in time where our phones couldn't record full movies at like HD level. Like our phones actually were not even mobile. And so it's kind of, you know, to have a camera and then access to a camera was like a rare thing. You know, I had a few friends whose parents had like a video camera, and we'd record like little skits or whatever. But it's like, yeah, the access that kids have now. I mean, my son literally texted me an animation he did on his phone, and it's like a drawn animation. And I'm like, you know, the era where we can have like a drawn animation, you know, by like a kid. Just with like, you know, it's kind of unbeliable. So that being said, let's see here. There's a couple of questions.
I'll kind of, if I can, I wanted to talk a little more what Jim was talking about. In addition to making videos and things like that, I mean, a long time ago, back in the 90s, I created a children's show, and I learned how to make props and things like that. I really like making things, like, and it's not like, if there was anyone that was like, he's not doing what he used to do on YouTube. To be honest, I mean, at some point I kind of switched I moved everything to just comics, but if you go back, that's not what the channel originally was. I mean, my biggest video was about making stickers. You know, so there was I had, you know, making buttons and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of taking all the stuff that I kind of originally set out to do that I love doing. And what's cool is, I don't know, at some point, I don't know when it happened, but at some point I'm like, when I came up with the idea to do this, I mean, there's maker channels and there's all kinds of channels like that out there, but it's one of those things where I haven't heard anyone doing kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's like the sweet spot. It's finding something that you love to do that nobody else is doing.
I love that.
I don't know what Corey's doing. He's like rummaging through something.
Yeah, there's some noise, man.
The mic is picking up all of that.
My mic must be really hot right now.
Yeah,
that's normal. That's normally like Scott's role.
Yeah, I know.
We hear every ice cube in his drink.
Yeah, I know. That's why I used to have that. I got at the convention. I got that copper mug thing, and it was so loud. That's why I switched over to just the regular glass. So hopefully it's not as loud as it was before.
That was our fourth co-host. Yeah, Jim's dead on. Do what you love, Mr. Serkland. I feel like Holly just asked something. Yeah. Okay, let's. So, I want to.
There's a couple before that as well.
Yeah. So I want to field between questions that were submitted beforehand, questions that are in the chat. So I'm going to kind of flow back and forth, and I'm scrolling backwards here. But Holly was asking what kinds of projects are planned so far, and actually, I'm going to go ahead and tie this in tandem to Gary Hodges, one of his questions, which was, let's see. He said, at this point, you've done trading cards and stickers. Next is wax packs. How many more ideas do you have for videos?
Well, I guess the trading cards and the stickers are kind of the same thing because I only have the one video. But
yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, I've got a list of like 100 different things, and I imagine as I continue to go forward, I mean, I'll see a commercial or something. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to do. And I've got like the Mail Order Madness book that, I mean, a lot of the stuff in that book isn't even on my list yet that I haven't put down. So nice. I've got a huge
Inside
list.
Editions, who did Barbarians, a handbook for aspiring
when
savages.
I didn't realize,
easily their best book.
A credit to Inside Editions. They make great books and the design and everything. But one thing I didn't even realize till I turned the lights off, that book is glow in the dark.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I've got that book, but I've got a Pinterest board with all kinds of ideas. I've got so many things. And then even on some of that, I might double back. Like if the sticker one goes big, I may go back and make a second series of gross stickers. So it's kind of never ending. And as I continue to go, I'm sure I'm going to get more like requests from people like, oh, you should do this. And then I can add that to the list. But so I can kind of tell you, like, so the next video will be wax packs. Then I'm going to do one on like the red and blue 3D glasses. That's already recorded. And then another one has something to do with kids menus. I won't get too much into that, but and then I'm working on another video right now. So I've got 4 videos already done. So while I was away, I was working on this stuff. So I had to kind of get a buffer because, like I said, they take so long to do. But anyway, yeah. So but seriously, there is a huge list, and there's things that right now I couldn't do. Like one of the things that I was curious about maybe doing is like pop rocks. And when I started researching pop rocks, it's not something you can make without like a science degree or something. I mean, it's very like it's all pressurized, and it's like it's very, there's some
neighbors calling. They're like,
so
some kind of meth lab.
If I ever get to the point where we do pop rocks, I may have to enlist find maybe partner with a channel that's a science channel and like, oh, let's do this, So there's certain things that are, or just I don't have the material to do, or I have no idea, like a Stretch Armstrong. I have no idea how to make a Stretch Armstrong, but somewhere down the line, maybe that's a possibility. But there's a whole list of, things. Some of them are really, the one I'm working on right now is very simple. Some of them are a little more complex. But even the simple ones, like the simple one I'm working on right now, it's not just the actual product, which is very simple. It's creating the packaging and everything around it. So it's really adding a story and creating my own, like I said, creating my own version of that thing.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, let me see if we can find one in the chats because I want to be bouncing back and forth. Oh, nice. Gary said we have an echo machine. I can't wait to guest again. Thanks, Gary. Let's see here. I know there was. Oh, okay. So Paul asked one of the most important questions: boxers or briefs?
Oh, I thought we were going to keep this to just
It's an
about the new
AMA,
channel.
man.
All right. Well, yeah, actually both. It's boxer briefs. So there you
Nice. That's the correct answer. You win 1,000 points. Let's see here. I'm looking for other questions in the chats, man. Corey, am I missing one?
Let me see. Somebody asked one. Where was it?
We're wonderful moderators.
Will there be a $1,000 tier on Patreon to find the McDonald's Playhouse or fund the McDonald's Playhouse project?
That's good. No, there's no. I think the highest tier right now is I think it's $10, which and also that's I mean this is a kind of a multi-tiered thing. Like so, in order to kind of make this so I can continue to do it because all the time that I'm spending. Which is taking away from time that I probably should be spending on like freelance projects and things like that. But so Patreon's a big part of that, and also my newsletter. So a lot of these, a lot of the projects that I'm doing, like you'll get like free templates through the newsletter,
Nice.
and then it kind of just goes up from there. Like the Patreons will get different tiers will get even more. You know, like the basic tier on Patreon, you get to see the videos like a week in advance. And then I want to try to build a community of other people that are making stuff and that. And right now that's just kind of the Patreon thing. But once we, just interact on Patreon, but I'd like to open up a Discord and things like that once we get people that are more interested in it and that actually, kind of warrants that. So there's I'm thinking of all kinds of different ways to make this kind of a big community of other people creating things and I'm looking at. And even though what I'm doing, I haven't seen anyone else doing, there's stuff that's adjacent. Like there's a channel I watch called The Smuggler's Room, where they build kind of Star Wars like props. But even that, they kind of do their own type of thing too. So I kind of look at what they're doing. Like I mentioned before, Steady Crafting is another one. It's kind of this puppet guy who kind of makes all these crazy things. And so I look at kind of there and I look at their patrons and their communities that they've built, and they're huge, and their channels are. I mean, Steady Crafting's pretty big. I think they're well over 100,000. Somewhere in the middle there. The Smugglers Rooms, I don't think they've hit like 100,000 yet either. But I mean, even at like whatever, maybe 40,000. I don't know. But they've got this they show their patrons and because people are into this stuff. So. I think
100%. And what's funny too is like I can see you doing a lot of collaborations too. Like if you ever need help with fabrication too, you should reach out to Chris Cawagua because that guy like we had him on a while ago and he did that pram. Like that's like So Chris said Pop Rocks requires a degree, huh? Will this be Scott's slow descent into actual scientific madness? I love it. Okay, there's a second question from Gary Hodges that's a really good one. Where did you first get the idea for the new concept, and then how long have you had this idea for a series? So like how long have you been kind of sitting on the desire to kind of expand out from just comics? I mean, you've kind of gotten into that a little bit with the love of filmmaking and entertaining. And like, by the way, if you guys haven't watched, it's an old video, but if you guys haven't watched Scott showed a bunch of the concept art he did for a children's show. Like it's like 2 posts from the one that's currently up. And I encourage you guys to check that out. Like the kids show that Scott used to work on is
and in that description of that video where I show the artwork from it, there's actually a link to the actual children's video. It's not live. You can't find it unless you click on that link, but you can view that if you're interested. Like it's from the 90s, so it was shot on, it's definitely the qualities. I mean, the quality is good as far as the sets and things like that. But
I was going to say
this was
quality,
a VHS, VHS. Yeah,
because that quality, like it looks like as good as anything on TV in the 90s. Like, when did you first get the idea? And then how long have you kind of
I don't remember exactly when it came to me, but it was, I I know I kind of had the idea before I decided that I was going to step away to work on it. But like I said, Corey, I don't think I mentioned anything about doing it when we were putting the studio together. Did I have that idea back then? So it's did I have the idea back then?
Yeah, you told me.
Oh yeah, because okay, yeah, because maybe.
I mean, you had already built most of the set at that point.
Okay, too. Okay, so maybe it's further back than I kind of forgot, but it could have been a year. I don't know. I guess maybe all the pieces started to come together later, but I had some inkling of what I wanted to create. I wasn't sure, but yeah, I don't know exactly when what's that, Corey?
Thomas is asking, how does it feel to make people who grew up in the 80s feel old?
Well, I grew up, but that's the thing that I like about this. I was going to go there with the new direction thing. That's what I like about what I'm doing. Yeah, that's what I like about.
You can go full new direction.
We're going to have some kind of crazy soundbite for that now. Here we go.
No, keep going.
Okay, so
does it have a slide whistle? There you go. But it needs to be the reverse.
I know. I need a slide whistle up. How about this? This is a new direction.
Nice.
I think that's the opposite.
That's true.
New dysfunction. All right.
Yeah,
anyway, here we go.
Okay.
Right,
back on the rails, guys. Back on the rails. So the new direction of the show.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So the new approach,
yes.
So thinking of it, yeah.
The thing about that's what's cool, because I used to get comments, and I struggled with this before, like the whole lab coat and the underground lair, and I would get comments like, I like your content. I like what you're saying, but this thing's just too kiddish for me or whatever. And if that's not your thing, that's fine. But I'm going to continue to do that. But now it makes more sense, because the stuff that I'm doing, it's like it's tapping into that nostalgia remembering back when we were kids. Yeah. Because most of actually, it's not totally true. I mean, I was looking at the analytics, and I think my biggest audience, and maybe that's just because naturally the biggest audience in YouTube, I think it's around or maybe it might be a little lower, but I think the biggest age range is like 25 to 30 something. But then the next one is like 35 to 45 or something like that. So that's kind of the age range I'm going to, because this is nostalgic stuff. So it makes sense. It makes sense that people that are collecting toys or are into this kind of stuff are nostalgic for it. So to me, it makes sense. The lab coat makes sense a little more than it did before. And it's not, so anyway, and if the lab coat and all that stuff's not your thing, then, that's part of my brand right now. And I'm going to keep it. And there were a lot of people like, when I hung up the lab coat, when I was stepping away, a lot of people were like, is the lab coat going to go away? Or,
is that when everybody came out of the woodworks and we're just like, dude, that's so great, because I hated that lab coat. And you're like, wait a minute, what the heck, man?
I never got anything but I have, even I was talking to a friend who was he was really growing on YouTube at a point, and now he's not even on YouTube, but he said, well, maybe, we were just talking about different strategies back then, thinking. And the other thing, and I'm going to kind of move around here a little bit, but the other thing is, before I was really being very victim-y about, why my channel isn't growing. I'm looking at other comic channels. Why aren't they growing? And and blaming the algorithm and all that. And really what I learned was that you can just replace the algorithm with audience. Why doesn't the algorithm care about my videos? Why doesn't the audience care about the videos? So, and that doesn't mean, because who knows why other comic channels kind of got big and stuff and mine didn't. And again, it's all relative. There's people that might look to me and like, he's got, 20, I don't know how many subscribers I have or whatever, 25,000 or something like that. Maybe a little less than that. But but looking at that and like, oh, he's got a lot, but it's all relative. But I was like, I've been doing this for steady every putting a video up at least one a week for 8 years. You'd think it would have grown more, but then I just realized, and a lot of that might have been, now that I'm kind of doing, I'm kind of rejuvenated and I'm really putting everything into it. And I think that's what it takes, because my videos weren't very highly edited. I just turn on the camera and talk, other than maybe the Making Comics 101, which had a lot of B-roll, had a lot of that stuff. And it took a little while, but those videos have thousands and thousands of views, some of them. So, and the stuff that I'm doing right now, I just see it keep ramping up. Like, I didn't know what to expect when I put up the first video. Definitely got a lot more engagement than my other stuff. I was kind of hoping more, just because it's designed to keep people engaged with the cuts and everything like that.
Scott, can you back up just a little bit? But I lost you at kind of hope because you froze. Did you hear that too, or is that on my end, Corey?
No, I heard him freeze just for a second.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah. So what was I saying? I'm just like, I was talking about the Making Comics 101, how that started to gain video, but gain views and stuff. So same thing with this, everything that I'm putting out is evergreen. So it's not, there's no, I'm not reacting to something that's currently happening or whatever. And it's all going back to nostalgia and all that stuff. So, so I just see even some of these older videos, getting more views, and like even my most viewed videos, when I first put them out, they didn't, like that sticker video. It was years later before that somehow found people, and it started to, to grow and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about it because I can say just from seeing it, it's like I can tell you're putting like 110% into it, and I'm glad you brought up the victim thing, because I've definitely had that with creative times in my life too, where I felt like, man, why aren't my comics as good? Like my own thing about my own stuff, where I'd be like, oh, why aren't my comics as good? And then I just have to sit down and be like, no, you know what I need to do, instead of like, again, being a victim about it, like, is just do the absolute best I can do. And then you can then you earn the right, and I like, to me, the idea that you're pausing and then you're, it's funny because I've always viewed your videos as like incredibly done, but seeing the level that you're bringing it to now, it's like, I could almost see that on like, a mainstream like Netflix or something like that as like a series. It's almost as well edited as what was that show back in the day with like the nerds that in a good way, I'm a nerd too, but they would kind of recreate geek stuff, and they'd have like races or test physics and stuff like that. There's a red-haired girl. They did a lot of science experiments. Yeah, Mythbusters.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's got the editing quality of something like a Mythbusters, and you're like down to like the lighting, which I think is really incredible too. There's that's sequences one thing where you're drawing and your hand is lit, and I was like, what?
Yeah, the lighting I'm working on. I because there's certain times that I've tried to do the color grade. Like there's a couple shots where it just doesn't match, and I don't know how to do that. So I'm working on it. And I think it'll get better and better. But right now I'm working on the sound, and like I said, every video I try to get the lighting a little better and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
I think it was like a night and day, just like, and again, for going from pretty good videos to like now these are just slick, and I mean I'm really excited about it. However, I can definitely see why like there's a ton of work to it. Abe was asking regarding the 3D prints. Would you do something like the Ultimate Muscle figures? Actually, what's funny? That's a resin cast, man. You might be able to actually do that. Yeah.
Yeah, those are on the list. Yeah, that's something, and I haven't done that type of I haven't done any like molding and resin casting, things like that. But that's something that I definitely want to get on. Like muscle figures are on the list, and there's a lot of other stuff that that kind of stretchy type bendy toys and different things like that I definitely want to get into doing that. And also there were these little toys that I had as a kid a long time ago. I took them and kind of redesigned them and gave them backstories, because they were just like little army men, but they were space guys. They were called
nice.
They were called what were they called, Galaxy something, but yeah, those type of things. I used to love those little guys. and I gave them because like I said, they were just Army guys. There was no story or any kind of, media behind them. So I kind of made a blog post and I created a world around them. So, stuff like that. There's so many things that, that I want to do. And, some of it's like just as simple as, it's like a paper, something made out of paper, like it could be a paper doll.
Yeah.
And some will be more elaborate. So some, it's just, there's all kinds of different things.
I can't wait for the viewfinder episode. Honestly, just making a viewfinder, like you wouldn't make the finder itself, but the rotating thing would be cool. Possible with negatives.
It's not so different. That part of it isn't so different than the one that I'm doing on Anaglyphic 3D.
Ooh,
because
nice.
It's a stereoscopic effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I did those retrovention prints a long time ago where I had one that was like, it was combining a Polaroid camera and a Viewmaster. It might be fun to actually build a physical one of those. And, if I learned a little more about 3D modeling and stuff like that. And,
that's so cool. And that's the thing, like anybody who's maybe thinking this is like a deviation, to me, I'd be shocked to hear anyone say that, because it ties in so much with what you've been doing just artistically, like for posters and prints and graphic design, like for years, I love it. Let's see here. Okay. Holly Brown was talking about holographic stickers. Holograph is crazy though, man.
Yeah, and that's on the list. So there might be certain things that are available to people. Like it's you design it and then you would have to send it out to somebody to do it. I don't know how to actually do holographic prints myself, but it's still like
still kind of DIY.
Yeah. So as long as I can point people, design your artwork like lenticular, lenticular things that move. Like I bought some lenticular sheets. So now it's a matter of figuring out how to design the actual artwork that goes behind it. So you can kind of do that. And then I just point people on, it'll be an affiliate link to where you can buy the lenticular sheets or whatever. So stuff like that, that stuff's definitely on the list, And then that just branches off, because you could do somewhere down the line, you could do visionaries. You remember the little visionary toys? They had the holographic thing and they were like knights, and they, you could take that concept and make a toy out of it. I don't know. It really is, the sky's the limit as far as the different ways you can different things you can do,
I love it. Let's do another one from chat, and then I'll go back to. I hate it. I hate having this all dominated by Gary's list, but he used to be a professional journalist, so it makes sense that his questions would be really good. Let's see here. Thomas says, "Do you think the comic space on YouTube is a bit saturated? That the ones that got on YouTube earlier had videos that went viral takes up most of the bandwidth? What do you think?"
Possibly. I mean, anytime there's a niche or something that's saturated, I think you can still go into it. You just have to do something completely different, with it. The problem is people are just basically doing what other people are doing. Like I heard the advice, like I'll follow like different people that are like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Roberto Blake, but he's like a content creator and he talks about how to build YouTube channels and stuff like that. And one of the advice he talked about was, there's so many gaming channels, what do you do? And the problem isn't that there's too many gaming channels, which there might be. The problem is people just are doing the same thing. It's a let's play and they're playing video game. And unless you have a super really interesting personality, you're not going to break through that. But what you can do, like an example, and he'll just throw out all these different examples of things you could do. And, he said, do it, do challenges, weird challenge, like play a video game while you're on a treadmill and just add all these different things, like Mr. Beastify it kind of within a budget. Obviously you can't do millions of dollars, but take something like that.
You're like, I'm going to play a video game on a bus as it's crashing into another bus. I'm just kidding.
Well, there's so many different things that you can do with a niche that's saturated. True. But you can't just do what other people are doing. If you like to play video games, there's a way to do that and do it in an interesting way. Just like what I'm doing. And it's weird talking about this, because even though I'm confident that I'm going to build this channel, it hasn't happened yet. So so it's like you're taking advice from a guy who hasn't technically done that, but I'm moving in that direction.
You're going to get there.
But
you're gonna get in that direction for sure. I'm sorry for ruining that.
Yeah.
For everyone. Nice. Okay, we have way more questions, so we gotta try to get more in.
We could go a little longer if you guys don't mind, but
no, I'm not in a rush, man. That's just there's a bunch of stuff, and then I'm sure Corey and I have a bunch of questions after that.
I didn't think anyone was going to show up on a Sunday. I didn't think anyone was going to show up on a Sunday.
I mean, we got a decent amount of live viewers right now. If you guys haven't yet, right now, real quick, let me go off my little art thing so this hits home. We do this for free, ladies and gentlemen. We do this for free. Our entertainment is free, and all we ask in return is a simple click of the like button. So right now, before we proceed, I just want to see every single viewer. I think we got like 16 right now, so let's get 16 likes on this. All it takes is like 2 seconds to hit like. That's going to help this and help Scott get more visibility as well. Although honestly, Scott does not need my channel for more visibility. That's where you go for less. But still, if you guys can hit that like, we'd really appreciate it. Okay, Serkland Sunday said Chris Cowagua.
Sunday.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the halftime on our Sunday show. I love this. You guys, there's going to be sound drops and stuff too. And make sure you're obviously following Scott and keeping up with what he's doing, because he's going to be doing live streams as well, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to these live streams because I've got some fun stuff planned. So
I love it, and they're going to be kind of project. I mean, it seems like there's
some of them will like the first. The one that's going to be on Tuesday is going to be me. I went and sought out a bunch of old vintage wax packs of gross stickers. Some of them you probably never even heard of before. And I'm just gonna like open them, or we're gonna kind of look at them and see and we'll kind of rank them. What's the grossest and all that kind of stuff, and maybe a giveaway. I don't know. We'll see. It should be fun. So
that's gonna be.
We got a good question for the three of us.
Nice.
Why do you guys do these for free? Why are we doing these videos for free?
That's a good point. You guys should super chat us and pay us. No, I'm just kidding. We actually love hanging out. I think that's kind of why.
Yeah, this is how we hang out. Yeah. This is
I live in a desert that's almost in Canada, and so there's no one up here. So, yeah.
It just goes like really, really gloomy, and it's like, look, guys, I need friends. Okay.
All right, hold on. Let's see. I've got a gloomy thing. Where is it? Maybe this? Nope. That's just sewers.
That sounds a little gloomy. Okay, so
abandoned ruin. That's gloomy.
Oh, I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're all just very lonely and desolate. That's why we do Artcasters. Welcome to Gloomcasters.
Welcome to Gloomcasters, where we all do our best impression of Eeyore.
So, Scott, when you launched your new channel, how long till you just decide it's all for nothing, that life is meaningless? We need to do a Gloomcasters. I've also been talking about this. We need to do a Snarkcasters episode. We got to arrange this. Get a guest to be pre-agreed upon in it, and just be snarky as hell like the entire time. Okay. Back to the questions. So we've got this is Gary again. What made you finally decide on the new series? Did you feel like you'd done everything you could with the last one, or was that just something you felt more passionate about, or both? And then I'm going to tack onto that too, tying into what Thomas was saying with comics fans. Does this have something to do with the conversation we've been having for years about cartoonists ending up in a trap of selling to other cartoonists who all of us are pretty much broke? So it's like, it's not that it's like we're passing the same dollar around. I'm curious if that ties into it too.
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of reasons. I mean, like one, again, I love doing this stuff, and I have, I was at a point where it's like, what else can I say? I mean, I did the series Making Comics 101, and everything kind of went down the direction of comics because I thought, I thought, oh, well, if I focus on one thing, I can build an audience that instead of kind of being all over the place. And so it kind of became more just like a comic channel. And I love comics, but I got to the point where it's like, now what do I make a video on now? I talked about
you
that
kind of,
before, and I've talked about that
yeah,
before.
you've kind of done it all. Yeah.
Unless there's some news event that happens in the comic world. And I wasn't like, and I'm not like a comic, I don't read a lot of like modern comics. It's just basically making comics is the whole idea. And, you know, so it's not like I can talk about the new thing that just came off the shelf as far as comics go. So
yeah, I can't see you rebranding and being like, this is my reason for owning the libs. Welcome to Scott Serkland's channel. Anyhow, the hot take comics channel. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
But the other thing is like kind of like what you're saying, Josh, is that, you know, I've got a guy that I follow online, and that I've done partnerships with and everything. He's the owner of Design Cuts, and Tom Ross, and he was talking about kind of on one of his journey, and he was in the beginning was trying to build this I don't know, it was a website or something for indie bands. And the problem is the indie bands didn't have any money, so it didn't go anywhere. And it was kind of like, that was kind of the thing with the comic. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I was totally willing to give away my secrets and tell basically everything I know about comics. And I kind of did that. And I'm so glad I loved it, and I was happy to do all that and happy to give back. But I felt like I kind of gave back, and like, well, I kind of, I like making videos, and I'd like to actually do this for a living. And I wasn't really doing it for a living. So, so as part of that, but also, a lot of the people that watched my channel when I was doing comics, they were aspiring to be kind of where I was. And, where I was, it's not like I wasn't making money off of comics necessarily. I mean, other than like client comics and things like that. So, it's like you're aspiring to be here, but it's kind of like, anyway, even people who work for Marvel or DC are struggling and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's just not so there's just not, at least as far as I could figure, there wasn't a whole lot of way to kind of monetize that and grow it to where I could like actually do it for a living.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, it definitely, I think so that kind of teased the comics part, but I think it's kind of neat that do you feel like, you kind of talked about with comics kind of running the course with it, literally making the course for it. Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I just snagged my little cord here, so I didn't know if it came unplugged.
Ladies and gentlemen, the snag of the cord on Sunday. Okay. Anyhow, yes. So yes, I love the sound.
The other thing that, and hopefully it won't come to this, and we can refer to Corey about this, but when I started to kind of see what's happening with AI and everything, I'm like, we may get to the point where people are just going to use AI to create comics and things like that. And I don't know if that'll, I don't know to what extent that'll happen or what, so that's another reason why I wanted to shift to like a maker channel, because you could, at some point you could you'll be able to make a comic with AI. No one's going to care to watch somebody may read that comic.
Yeah.
And somebody may get joy, be able to create a comic or whatever that way. Yeah. But I don't think anyone's interested in watching just an AI generate a comic in no time flat. People are going to want to see things being made by hand.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, and you can't duplicate that. People aren't going to just watch prompts create something. It's just not interesting. It's cool it's cool what it creates. I mean, it's like amazing. Like, oh, I created this. That's cool. But
I think it's really the novelty of it right now. Like, especially in comics. I know the Comics Lab guys were talking about this recently, but a lot of that is like people saying like, "Hey, this is made by AI," but nobody releases a comic that is made by AI and doesn't go, "Look at how cool the robot is!" Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and when they did, people were like, "Oh, this kind of sucks." You know, this is
but
weird.
that's now.
You know?
That's now, and
Sure.
it's growing like
Oh,
exponentially.
it'll get better. Yeah.
Yeah. But like it does remind me of Scott, what you were saying. Like there's an old Monty Python sketch where it's like the Writers Olympics, and it's like it's you know, like this giant auditorium, and there's all these guys at typewriters like on a track field, and it's like watching authors write, and it's like, and he's writing the first word. Oh, it's the word it's. Oh no, wait, he's correcting it. Now he's thinking, and it's like nobody is going to want to sit and watch somebody write. So I totally agree with you. That would be the most tedious thing in the world, where you're writing AI prompts. You're like, look at this. I'm going to write, you know, a bunch of stuff and then have the computer do it for me, which Corey's entirely right. I think the novelty, the utility of it might, you know, serve like corporate interest and stuff. But I think the novelty of it, it's kind of like, it's not as fun to watch somebody, type something as it is to watch somebody hand letter, you know. It's just, so I think the maker move is a really, really smart call. Are there any ideas? This is the last one from Gary. Are there any ideas you have for this series you've abandoned because it's not feasible?
I wouldn't say abandon. I have to wait. You know, I have to wait. There's a lot of ideas that like I said before, I could not do now because I don't have the equipment, or I don't have the technical knowledge, or it's just too expensive to do, or like the Pop Rocks thing. I can make, you can find Pop Rocks recipes, but they don't really work. It doesn't like crackle or do anything. It just, you know, so in order to kind of do that, you know, and like there's one right now, and maybe that's why maybe that's why Gary asked this question, because we were talking about another one that I'm trying to create, and so far I'm failing. So it could get to the point where maybe I figure it out, or maybe I release the video and this one just didn't work out. You know, that's part of the story. You can kind of turn the bug into a feature, you know.
I love that too. And I love that keeps the experiment kind of fresh, because like any experiment, it can fail, you know, which is kind of like, I think pretty exciting, because if you do pull it off, or you could have like one thing that's like revisited like 4 times on your channel, where it's like, okay, round 2, we're going to try this, you know? And
and I could put it out there, and then maybe a viewer would be like, because like the next one that I'm doing with the wax packs, I did a video on wax packs a while back, and this new video, it's a totally different technique, and it's like so close to what you would actually get. And that is not an easy thing to achieve, because I thought, well, I found a company that made wax packs, and there's not really any of them around. There's one that I found. I ordered some samples, and they weren't any good. They were nothing like wax packs, really. But that was, I had a viewer that watched that last video and contacted me and sent me a video sharing a technique on how to do it. And I kind of tweaked that technique around a little bit, but that was based on a viewer. So I may put a video out, maybe I can't figure it out, and somebody will give me some advice. So that's what I'm talking about, kind of building a community around all this stuff. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer, but I'm curious on the details. Have you defined what you will consider as successful, and are you willing to share those metrics or measurements or goals?
I don't have anything like necessarily in mind. I mean, obviously I have a vision. I mean, I would like, one thing that I was thinking after I built this space is like, oh, I've got way more space. But now that I'm working in it, it still feels pretty confined. So, I mean, I watch like stuff like 1000, and he's just got this big studio. I just want to create bigger and better things. So I'd like to get to a point where I can expand with a bigger space, do more with that, and just grow. I don't have like a number, or like a, you know, because honestly, like I said, last year I was able to, I had a pretty good retainer client that I was doing work for, and I was able to use that and put it into the the business and to do all this stuff. And so
by
that's
that,
what I would
Scott,
do. I
means-
would just kind of take a whatever, you know, if I'm making bigger videos, I'd sync it back into the videos and you know, and just do bigger things. But I don't have like a number in mind, but I just want to grow. I want to create bigger things. And so, yeah, I mean,
I'm excited about seeing the Scott Serkland factory that ends up coming out of this. It's going to be cool. And also, I was going to make a bad joke about your client had a retainer. Like they literally just were wearing a retainer. That's what you meant. I know. I'm here all night. Okay, so we've got. Are there any? Okay, so last one. On a scale of 1 to 10, this is the last one from Gary. What would you consider 5 food that is a food perfectly adequate and neither good nor bad?
Oh wait, okay. I'm not sure if I understand.
He's saying like okay, you got like 1 to 10 on the food scale.
Right.
10 being awesome, 1 being horrible, 5 is meh. Like what do you define as 5 on the food scale?
5 is the best.
No, 5 is the middle
mid.
of the road.
It's smack dab, just meh.
So it's
neither
1
like
to 10.
Yeah.
So, geez. Number one, like I can count. Well, I'll say this as far as the bad thing. I can count on probably one hand the 5 things that I don't like. I mean, nice. I like all kinds of food, so I'm pretty adventurous when it comes to food. So let's see. Liver. I can't stand liver. Can't stand cottage cheese. Can't stand alfalfa sprouts. What else? I can't. Yeah, I mean, there's
cheese,
not a lot.
Man, you're missing out, Scott. You're missing out.
No, ricotta cheese, like I can deal with, but not cottage cheese. Anyway, so there's not a whole. I mean, there's probably some other things I can't think of right now, but for the most part, you know, I like all kinds of different food. Middle of the road, like I am not a big. I don't really like fast food, like most fast food. Like I like McDonald's to me is like that's way down. I mean, it's not like alfalfa sprouts or cottage cheese, but I avoid McDonald's. I just don't think it's any good, you know. So there are like, you know, so I'm not real big on just most fast food.
Got it.
And then so that would kind of be the middle. Right now, so I would say, and this could change, like I said, I like all kinds of different things. I've been on a keto diet for pretty much, you know, I'll break a little bit here and there, but for the most part, since the beginning of the year. So for me, what's really, you know, the things I miss are like noodles and rice and a lot of Asian stuff and Mexican food, because, you know, so those types of things right now, if I, you know, those are what I would go to, just because I haven't really had it in so long, or, you know, I mean, a little bit here and there, but so yeah, that's kind of what I would put. But
I love it. So we got a question. I think this one will be very easy to answer. Chris said, I'm excited about this new channel. I got here late. Does it have a name already? Scott,
it's still it's still Circworks Art Labs. It's still, I mean, all the old videos are still up. Those aren't going anywhere. I'm just I'm kind of pivoting and going and just changing what I'm doing as far as the direction that I'm headed and everything. But yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen the video, Chris, definitely check it out. I think you'll dig it.
Yeah.
And there'll be more to come. The thing that bothers you right now, and I know it's just a process, and I know with each video, it'll attract an audience and stuff. But right now, since there's only one video like this, even though I've got all these other videos, you know, I want to get to the point where I've got like at least 4 or 5 of the videos that I'm doing now. Yeah. So, you know, so I can kind of show people a little more what I'm doing. And I think once that happens, because somebody may find one of these new videos and look back at the other stuff and I'm like, yeah, this stuff is as engaging as this one video. So I think I have to get a decent amount of kind of what I'm doing now before I can kind of like, oh, check out, this is what I'm doing, and people get a bigger picture.
Well, and I also think like tying into that, like anytime you do something new, there's kind of like a hesitance for people to fully get on board. And I don't think you've been experiencing any resistance with what you're doing currently, but it's like, it does kind of take people a few times to kind of get in the flow of things. the second you kind of have repeated the format a couple times, I think people are going to have that aha moment, and that's where you're going to really see growth and spread. Kind of like with the, the comics, series you did, where it's like, it might be a slow build. I think this one will build faster, especially with what you're doing with shorts, which was something I wanted to kind of bring up. Yeah. And I might actually have to step away for like 2 seconds while you answer this, but I'm sure other people will be interested in this. What do you like? What are you doing like format wise? That's different, not just like format, like for the theme of the show, but like the way that you're kind of introducing it and integrating it with shorts and social media. And then I'll be right back while you answer that.
Yeah, so I'm trying to take advantage of pretty much everything YouTube has. So right now they're kind of pushing shorts. So I've taken the videos that I've already edited, and I've broken those down into like 7 different shorts that I can put out every single day for a week. And then when I get my live stream, I'll probably recorded. I'll probably do the same thing and cut those up too. So I'd like to put out a short every day, and hopefully that'll help introduce more people to the channel. I think it's working because like people see maybe had missed the main video and see a short and maybe like, oh, what's this? And then check it out and see the full video. So, and then I'm also repurposing those on, like, I haven't posted on Instagram in forever. So now I'm posting on Instagram again. I'm posting those videos. And then also TikTok, which I don't really understand yet. So we'll have to see. I think I've got like 3 followers on TikTok. So, but
okay, the secret to TikTok
was dancing or doing something.
Yeah. Is just embarrass yourself, have zero shame, chase every trend. TikTok is, in my opinion, is a garbage platform.
Yeah, I tend to kind of agree with you. The only reason I'm posting there because it's not any really extra work because I'm creating for YouTube, creating the YouTube shorts. I don't think to me personally, I don't think there's any trying to grow on Instagram or TikTok. I mean, like I was watching a thing where they had like a VidCon thing, and there's TikTokers with empty lines. They got millions of followers on TikTok, but people don't know who they are because they're just scrolling through it. So I don't think you can really. And like the monetization on that stuff is, I mean, YouTube is the only platform that shares all their analytics and everything with you. Yeah. So you can really get under the hood and do all that. YouTube's the only platform that really pays people.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I have nobody on my channel, and I've made money off this channel. It's like that's insane at like a small size, and yet I've met people who have like 1 million followers on TikTok and they haven't made a penny. It's like that's insane. Yeah.
So I'm not really too concerned with even if I start getting millions or whatever how many views on TikTok. I don't see how that translates into into.
The best it could do is maybe shift people from your TikTok to your YouTube or to your Patreon. Possibly, I think that would be the best. But I think pursuing that's a smart idea because like every junior designer I have on staff is like always watching TikTok. So it is a kind of a tap into the well of the younger generation. Let's see here. I was kind of curious if Corey, you had mentioned like when Scott had like first kind of showed us like the sneak peek of what he was doing, you kind of complimented some of the edits that he was doing, particularly one where it kind of zooms in a bit. Like I forget what the term for it is.
Oh, he had a really nice match cut. So if you guys, you did it well. Okay. If you're familiar with, say Fury Road, Mad Max Fury Road, there was so much going on in that movie that they broke a lot of traditions on what they're doing and didn't use the rule of thirds for the composition in the action sequences. But the reason that nobody got lost is because these match cuts. So what it is where you're looking, in like if we go from an A to a B cut, where you're looking on A is the same place that you're looking for B, and you cut in between those two so that the viewer's eye doesn't have to search. And so there was one shot where you were like, I can't even remember where it was or what you were saying, but you were talking and you were in one shot, and then the gesture even connected to the movement. And so what you're doing is, if I'm moving my hand like this, right? I want to cut here, and then when I do back, I want something in that same spot moving. And so you had like a gesture and the same proportions and same position of your head from A to B, and it was just a really nice match cut that was going on.
Yeah,
So,
I remember I did something where I was like facing this camera, and then I turned, and then as I was turning, I cut to another. At first I had two cameras going at the same time, recording the same thing. But then I realized I've got a Sony camera and a Canon camera, and I couldn't get the color grading. So now I use the same camera and I just move it. So it looks
so the trick to that is that let me cut this to here, is you want it to feel like this.
Yeah.
Where you go like that, and in the middle of the movement you cut. And that's not technically a match cut because I have different sizes, different compositions going on.
Corey, now that you're doing that, just to show people, just now I'm curious. It's a little off topic, but it's like, can you do that without doing the turn, just so people can kind of compare the two, like one where you're turning into it? Yeah, that is more off-putting. Whereas, okay, now turn into it. Yeah, that's insane how much that makes a difference.
because most people will know this because most people are doing design or have studied design that are kind of watching the show. But Gestalt principles, you have the principles of Gestalt are it's a study of the way that we human beings perceive vision, and one of those things is the idea of continuity of movement. And so if you see a flock of birds flying together in a V shape, we don't think of each individual bird. You don't look at that and go, oh, look, bird number 4, bird number 5, you see a group of birds. So we track movement. And so from shot to shot, if the movement is continuous from shot A to shot B, it feels very natural because that's what we would expect. And so it's actually very jarring. That's what is called a jump cut, is when you have that kind of jarring nature that isn't, it's obviously shot and then edited rather than just cutting to a different camera of the same movement. So there's some real distinct things that you can do to kind of not take people out of it. Now, if you want to do those, sorry, I'm getting more into teacher mode, I'll stop. But if you want to do those by way of you want to make people feel upset or disconcerted or slightly whatever, then you do kind of the Train Spotting Fight Club type editing where there's a bunch of jump cuts that are intended to disrupt the viewer's sense of ease or whatever. But what I noticed is that the editing felt like a multi-camera shoot, and even from scene to scene, you were positioned in such a way from shot A to shot B that it wasn't jarring, and you didn't have to like go, okay, for half a second, like, where am I looking now? Because you're in the same spot. So it was nice. I thought it was really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, that kind of ties into something that I think it would be cool to kind of get into, which is Scott, like, you have like a sequence where you're putting on the lab coat. You were kind of talking about it making more sense having the lab coat in this, and I fully agree with that because the earlier videos, I love the lab coat, but I never fully understood the premise of the lab coat. I kind of did, but this, it's like you're about to head into the lab, you know?
Yeah,
It like felt like a real, like a connection to your original kind of plan. I don't know if you want to get into that with people, where you were originally going to have like an animation and stuff like that, but I thought just the sequence, that like the sequence and the quick edit of it is really stunning, and you're doing a lot of like really quick edits that are kind of like almost like samples and stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious if you wanted to get into that.
Yeah. So a couple of things. So that's kind of my homage, because it's basically a lot of stuff. Like I said, back to nostalgia, that 80s montage, that Rambo Commando getting all this, knives and grenades and stuff like that. It's me putting on the lab coat from all these different angles and stuff like that. And the other thing is, like, back when before I had the lab coat on like all the time, and it was almost like because I'm like, oh, I've created this persona. I'm in this underground lair, and I didn't want to stray from that. But now there's the lab coat's still there. Like when I go into the lab, it's almost like if you were a chef, you're putting on your apron. So it's not as, so I can do certain scenes where I cut away where I'm not wearing the lab coat, and it still kind of makes sense. So I'm not as confined to that, but so it's kind of like the best of both worlds. So I usually start off without the lab coat, and I'm just kind of talking, and then, all right, let's get to work. Now we're starting the project. We're getting ready. So we're putting on our lab coat just like you would an apron or something like that.
Yeah, thinking about that, like that's kind of nice too, because now you can like almost like more directly like be Scott, and then also be lab coat Scott when you're in the lab. That just makes a lot of sense. I love that. So what like with the editing though, is this like kind of the fruition of a lot of like how is the editing so night and day different from the previous videos? You know, like what are you kind of incorporating now?
I know the answer. It takes 3 times as long.
Yeah.
Oh, at least. No, what? Not even three. If I could get down to 3 times as long, that'd be great. No,
well, you must have been really efficient on the other ones then, because
there were times where I would film. You know, at certain points, there were times where I could film like 4 in a day before. Like I just set it up, I changed my shirt, I do a thing, and then, you know, editing would take a little longer, but not that long, because it's basically me, you know, there weren't a whole lot of cuts. But now it's like I've got different camera angles and all that. Yeah. So it's way like before I could shoot, like it might take me 2 or 3 days to shoot, depending on how the project is or whatever. And then the editing could take, you know, another, you know, 3 days or something. And then it's always like, oh, I got to go back and do this or whatever. So,
and then there's all the preparation too, right? Where you're,
and that's,
ordering all the cards.
And it's scripted, and I got to come up with the idea. I got to script it and everything. So before it was just me turning on the, you know, I would have like a basic outline before that I would like, oh, I want to hit this point and this point. But now it's scripted and everything, because, you know, one of the criticisms I used to get a lot was that, you know, that I ramble on. So there's like no more rambling. It's very concise, and, you know, because I don't want to lose an audience because I ramble or talk about something that's not relevant or whatever. So I just want to keep it kind of quick, and hopefully that will keep engagement, you know, like, oh, I don't want to bounce because, oh, there's something different, you know, so.
I love it. Jim has a question saying, question for Scott. As a distinguished gentleman, are you finding more or less inspiration from the current batch of television, comics, and movies out there?
Probably less. I am kind of feeling sort of that superhero burnout as far as movies. I mean, the last few I've seen, it's not like they were bad. It's just like, okay, I kind of seen this, and it's like now it's like I kind of like I want a superhero movie where they scale back, where it's like I don't need all the CGI and special effects. I just want a good, like, concise story that, you know. So it's like, I don't know, but that's kind of where I am right now. As far as comics, I mean, I don't really know what's going on as far as most comics out there. I mean, every once in a while I'll get some indie comics and like, oh, this is cool or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. So probably less. But I'm also like, I went and saw The Flash. I actually enjoyed that one. And typically I'm not a big fan of any of the DC movies, and it kind of bombed and everything. But I'm, you know, I also try to go into it with an open mind. I'm not one of these guys that roots for things to fail and that doesn't want to give it a chance. Like I hear all this talk about Indiana Jones, like, I'm not going to say there's only, you know, it's not my Indiana Jones or all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm kind of open to it. And if it doesn't have to be as good as the original 3, you know, the first 3. Just as long as it's that's kind of back to what I can watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and there's actually some fun parts in there. I mean, as a whole, but yeah, I can get something out of. There's a lot of there. I think there's a lot of cool parts.
Okay, because as you said that title, I didn't even hear it. I just heard like a boop. Okay. Like I don't know why.
That's what I'm talking about. I try to at least at least give something a chance. And,
I agree with you on that. I
so.
think it is tough to like, I think that touches on like, honestly, that kind of touches into this topic too, because you were kind of mentioning earlier, the idea that it was kind of easier, or you were finding moments of like cynicism where you're just like, oh, well, it's like the algorithm and the other things and stuff
Right.
like that. And instead you've kind of chosen a more positive approach, like, so of kind of scrapping the old and kind of starting fresh. And I think that ties into kind of what you're talking about with an approach to absorbing new things, because it's very easy to like say watch a movie you hated and then suddenly be like, any movie that's slightly like that I hate because I hated it.
Well, yeah, and there's
it's kind
so
of an
much
easier
content.
out, but it doesn't lead to a lot of joy. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to create positive stuff. I mean, it would be, I could definitely grow the channel more faster and everything if everything was negative. I mean, it's to me, it's almost like you're kind of a hack if you do that, because it's so easy to do. People get super engaged over things they don't like or whatever. And I try to avoid that stuff. Like, anytime I see like the worst, this is the worst, I don't even want to click on it. And like, what's really sad is there were like a few like toy channels that I used to love to watch. And then it just got so negative. Like, I hate everything. I mean, it's like these are toys. Why did you get into making these videos? I mean, that's supposed to bring you joy, and it's just like complaining about everything, and then they get tons of views, and so it's just double down on that. I just don't want to. I'd rather not even start down that path, because then you might get, you do one negative thing and it's like, oh, that got a lot of views, I got to double down on that, and then there's way more negative stuff out there. So
I feel like the downside of going that route, because you said it's kind of easy, and I think it would be kind of initially, but I think being stuck in that would be like a hellscape, like, because like
it's definitely not good for your mental health, I don't think. I mean, these people don't seem happy at all. They want to be right about everything, and I always say I'd rather be happy than be right. So
and I've kind of turned towards that perspective more, although I'm not against hate. And I will say, if you hate something, I'm with you. I hate it too. Hit like. I'm kidding. So anyhow, Scott, like that I feel like we touched on a ton of stuff. There's like so much more kind of I'm curious about in regards to kind of the map or the blueprint, and just kind of after putting in the work, are you like excited about it, or a little like, or B, a little like, oh my gosh, what the hell did I just get myself into? Because like Corey was saying, it's like seeing these, it's an immense amount of work, and so committing to that, I don't know.
Well, I'm really like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing so much right now. And it'd be great if like the first video just like took off or whatever. But I realize that, although it's possible that could happen, and it may, who knows, maybe it happened with the second video, maybe it'll happen with the 10th video, maybe, I know I can just kind of see, I don't know what it is, but I just really believe in this idea of what I'm doing right now. So I just know, I know, because I'd love, if I came across a channel like this, I'd love it. So I know there's other people like that out there. They just have to find it, it just has to reach them, and as soon as enough people kind of, if I can kind of keep my existing audience that love that I already have, that kind of like comics, but also like this stuff. And then the people that are doing sort of the toy videos, the retro toy videos, and the maker channels and things like that, if that kind of audience starts to find it, I think it's just a matter of either little by little, or who knows, maybe something goes viral. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Because that was mentioned a little earlier in the chat, and it's gotten so busy in chat, I'm like trying to find who specifically brought this up, but it was kind of brought up that like one of the nice things. Oh, it was Thomas Adams said that one of the nice things that he likes about the videos is they aren't just catering to artists, but they could actually be catering to like a broader community.
Exactly.
I'm kind of curious about that, like in the sense of the design of it, like who is your intended audience for this? And
Well,
then
yeah.
aside from that, like Corey, started this video with a footage of his kid, responding well to this. And one thing I have noticed is so far, it seems like pretty darn kid friendly, as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, do
It's
you want
funny
to
because
touch on those things?
yeah, I'll try to let me remember all that. There's so I really want to keep it. It's funny because like the latest video I shot, I said damn in it. I'm like, I wonder if I should say that or not, and I end up doing it. And then there's another thing that it's kind of a curse. It's not a major curse word, but it's from a video clip, and I'm like, do I put that in there because it's a funny clip and it makes total sense, and it's not actually like me saying it, but I don't think if I do anything like that, there's not going to be a lot of it, and I don't think it's something that is going to totally go, oh, like
that tracks with the 80s though.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like this is something it's basically the S word.
Dork thinks he's gonna drown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just from a clip, and it's super funny. It makes perfect sense. But so there won't be a lot of there. There might be something in there, but I don't think it's anything that's going to offend anyone. So and then the previous part about like who the audience is. So I do think that this can reach like a mass audience, and I do think it's something that parents can watch like with their kids and things like that. That being said, you don't want to, and this is all stuff that I've been doing just a lot of research on this, and I mean, you don't want to try to please everyone. There will be a wide range of people that like it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But you want to gear towards a specific person, like and that's kind of the avatar. And the avatar, his name's Chuck. He's like I said, he's 45 years old. He likes he collects toys. He's got a really good paying job, and he enjoys spending his money on stuff like this, whether it's just he's interested in watching people create stuff or collecting toys or whatever it is like that. So that's who I'm aiming it for. And when you do that, there's still going to be other people different. Yeah. And it's like, it's going to be totally accessible to somebody who's younger that who didn't live through like the 80s or even maybe the 90s. Maybe they just seen, oh, this is kind of cool. There's going to be people that are interested, but you don't want to try to like cast a huge net. You aim like this, and there's still going to be people that will find it. So, and I think that like I said, it makes a lot more sense because, I'm 52 years old. I'm doing fun stuff, that maybe I've got a little bit of a Peter Pan complex. So I like to do fun stuff. I love Mystery Science Theater 3000. I like Beakman's World. I like all that kind of stuff. And you can see that come through, but it's still, it still feels like it makes sense for a guy my age to be doing this kind of content because the theme of it is bringing back all the old stuff we used to love as a kid. So
nice. And I don't know why I'm seeing. Okay, my screen went black for a second. So you're not basically doing videos that are going to be like, how do you do, fellow kids? With like a skateboard.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not aimed at kids, but but I don't think there's like. This if I end up doing like put an S word in, like it's not going to be like, it's going to be very, I mean, it's not, unless you're
it's going to be like PG.
Unless you wouldn't let your kid watch almost anything unless it's PG, then maybe not, but it's definitely family friendly, and there won't be hardly any of that unless it's just like this. It's just this one of the things, like I want to put that in there because it makes sense. With
until you get to the like, you guys remember centerfolds from the 80s. That's like his channel goes down a dark web hole.
Well, see, and there may be some of that a little bit when I get it, if I get into like doing the X-ray glasses, and I'll play that up because it's like, they're basically selling the concept of the X-ray glasses. They're selling the kids to be 100%. All pervy and everything. So I may play around with that a little bit, and it'll be all in good fun and everything. But
I love it. I'm so excited about the X-ray glasses, and that kind of brings up, I guess, like my last thing, which is when there are things like like that come up with like have you been surprised so far by like things that seem simple? Like the premise seems like, okay, that's something that could totally easily be crafted. And then as you start kind of exploding the thing, just being like, what the heck? This is so complicated. I'm curious about that. Like,
I'll just kind of let the cat. That's the one. The X-ray glass is the one that I'm struggling with. The one that I was kind of talking with Gary about.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to do it. To figure out how to do it the right way yet, and I'm still working on it. So, but it's almost like even my avatar now has me wearing the X-ray glasses. So I've got to figure it out or do something. The video's got to happen one way or the other. But yeah. So there's certain things that like it's a very basic thing, and it's like why isn't this working? So
yeah, and I think that goes to show why people should be watching this and checking it out and stuff like that, because and why I've been enjoying it is I think that it's going to be really fun to watch your journey with it and watch you succeed. You're a pretty determined guy too, and I think like it fits your it's a way for you to kind of combine all your interests into one, because you're also a person who will literally like fabricate a airlock door on your wall at home, and very convincingly, so I think
I would like to add,
nice.
I would like to add that the X-ray glasses are going to be Scott Serkland's white whale.
Good piece. They're shaping out to be that right now.
Wait, Corey, can you like blur yourself while you're talking with that voice? Because that sounds like
would
the
be
weird
cool.
interview where it's like,
yeah.
So we have another question from a random viewer, and then it's like this. It could just be your icon with
I could blur myself and do this. Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's go stop camera, and then I can come in and talk like this. There's got to be like a distortion one that sounds like you're.
So right now we're joined by a random anonymous person. Just ignore their name right next to them. Who's going to talk about the secret fact that Scott is actually AI himself.
Scott Serkland is a construct of your imagination. I have evidence that's been released to me from an inside source. I'm not going to say who, but it's a letter in the alphabet that's later in the alphabet that has told me that Scott Serkland is a government plant, and what you're seeing is actually a deep fake. This switch to his new channel will be so wildly successful that the government will own the minds of everybody between the ages of 27 and 32.
Wow, you guys, like, here it is live.
That voice sounds like somebody I've heard before, and I can't think of who it is.
That one's called Evil. That one's actually called Evil AI.
Nice, it's still on.
Sorry. I'll switch it over.
Switch it over to Odin. I don't know what any of these sound like.
That one sounds like the confessional on like the crime show, where it's like the guy who's just like, I saw this happen on the corner and whatever.
Okay, hold on, I have to hear it. Oh, right, yeah. Sorry. It's really hard to hear yourself. Let me turn this off. I don't know what button to turn this off with. Go up here to this.
There we go.
I don't know. I feel like you need to do a full live stream in that voice. Now I need in on this party. I need in on this party.
Here's one that you'll enjoy, Josh. Nice. I think this one is just where I harmonize with myself.
I love that. That's amazing. And auto-tune, I feel like you need to do covers of Cher if you're going to have auto-tune like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's all fun. All good and fun. Yeah.
I
forgot about this until Scott asked me a couple questions, and then I was like, oh yeah, there's like a whole
and you guys like a whole thing. I mean, do I like stupid gimmicks? Yes. My name is Jacques Fresco. And I am not French, but my voice, my name sounds French, so I've made my voice French. Okay.
I just figured that you didn't need it because you do so well with your own special effects.
I know, but like, I really like cheesy gimmicks, so that sounds very fun.
That's true.
Speaking of liking new things and all that stuff. If you guys haven't yet, check out Scott's new direction on his channel. It's actually, it is really good though. It's really exciting. If you guys haven't watched it yet, you should. If you haven't joined his Patreon, what are you doing? You want to support this stuff? Because Scott, you want to get into like that, I guess, as like a last thing. It is expensive what you're doing. Like it costs money, right?
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, I'm not. I feel like I just want to let
begging for money. But
I want to let the content speak for itself. So
yeah.
I mean, I think that'll happen. Like the one thing they, you know, again, doing all this research, one thing that,
ladies and gentlemen, there's children out there crying. They're out there and they're sad because they don't have enough Circworks videos. Just
I don't want to be
contributions, ladies and gentlemen. We need it. Okay. Anyhow, sorry. Call centers are standing by. Anyhow, Scott, we're not trying to beg for you.
No, but what I would say is that the advice that I've got as far that I'm kind of taking in as far as Patreon and stuff is that you don't want to like, oh, please support me, help me out, that type of thing. It's more like you want to approach it as like, oh no, you come join me on Patreon. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna do some cool stuff.
It is the party.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool extra stuff that you're gonna get. Not just like, oh, you know, I don't want to come from it like, woe is me, just help me out. I need, you know, so.
I don't know how to turn it off.
Party here, guys. I don't know what's going on. I'm here at Scott's Patreon.
You gotta. There's a button you can install that kills all sounds that you have to.
Okay, I'll need to install that one for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. You guys, it's wild at Scott's Patreon. You guys need to.
It's still going.
That
was Josh. Josh had his going for a while.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. All right. Well, Scott. This was fun. It's awesome to kind of get under the hood. Is there anything we didn't touch on that you know that you wanted to in this particular ep?
I think I think it was cool because I hopefully got a chance to let people. I just want to kind of, if anyone doesn't know what I'm doing, just kind of put it out there so it's like, oh, okay, I get. Some people might, because like I said, there's only one video right now, so it's like, what is this? You know, it's like, okay, it's kind of cool, but what's he doing? So I just wanted to kind of do. That's why I kind of like, hey, we can do something different, and I'll just be the guest because I want to let people know a little bit what I'm doing and everything. So,
and we were you, dude? Like again, like what Scott is doing is so cool. It's fun to talk about it,
and I
hear about.
I like talking about it because I'm really having fun with it, and I'm excited about it. So I don't mind.
All right, so I'm gonna do two things to kind of wrap it up. If you guys are down with this, the first thing is going to be. I think just in protest to Scott saying to not beg for money, I think Corey, you and I need to play some really sappy, sad music and then just beg for about 30 minutes for people to join his Patreon. Are you down?
I don't know if I'm down for 30 minutes, but I'll be down for sure.
30 minutes, yeah. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'll be down for 30 seconds. Hold on. I got to find an appropriate voice here.
Do you have like a child, like a weeping child voice? I'm sorry, Scott. It had to be done.
How does this sound? No, that's creepy.
That sounds sadistic.
Okay, I'll find something. Hold on.
Well, we get the classic Scott rambling on the live stream. I'm sure there's going to be some rambling. I mean, think about Artcasters, guys. There is rambling.
Yeah, well, Scott, I can't. If it's live, I can't help but ramble. But I'll be doing things on the live stream. So that'll. I am really looking forward to that because that's a place where people can answer questions or ask questions, and I can go a little more in depth in some of this stuff and just have fun. This first one should be really fun. I'm really looking forward to opening some of these wax packs and seeing what's in them.
Is this sappy enough?
That's pretty sappy, I think.
I don't know. I think Corey's still working.
Corey's
on his
muted.
Audio. He's muted. You're muted.
I I believe I found the right voice.
Oh my goodness, you guys, there's a small child here
Chipmunk.
who's guessed it, and they just want to ask you a favor.
I just want to let you know that I've been diagnosed with stage 4 lymphotic cancer, and Scott Serkland's videos have saved me. I went in for a scan recently after watching the new video, and I was clear. And so if you'd like to keep me cancer-free, please join Scott Serkland's Patreon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Serkland's Patreon is just changing lives, as you've heard from this definite actor who was not really saying that it cured anything, but I'm just saying that their sickness that may or may not have existed may or may not have been cured by this amazing, powerful work that Mr.
I like how you drifted into a southern accent there. That's good.
Yeah, well, I just feel like if you're doing a
Do
scan...
that with that voice. Can you say Disneyland Electric Parade?
Ladies and
Disneyland Electric Parade.
You have to say, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
The Walt Disney Electrical Parade. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's a different one.
Look, guys. There's like so many Scotts in this world, but there's only one Serkland, and the Serkland is really. We need you guys. We need your Patreons. We need it. Okay, I think that's played. I don't know if we. Do you got any more steam, Corey? Any more on this?
No, I'm good. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say.
Other than I think things are going well. The surgery has really helped normalize my voice.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's been helpful, and I just can't thank Scott Serkland
and his support enough.
You guys, the problem with just inherent vocal changes is something a lot of people are having problems with, and we can't say it's correlated, but we can say a lot of people's voices have just returned to normal. It's like magic is happening with Scott Serkland's channel. Okay, I think we ran its course. All right, so the one thing I'm going to ask us to all close out on, and Scott, I'm going to invite you to participate in this one because it's not some silly roast kind of thing. We got to close out on Sundays, guys, because this is a Sunday channel. So do we want to kind of close people out by, let's do a Sunday style to a rock music, telling people about our channel, of course, closing with our wonderful guest, Scott Serkland, as usual, who will tell you how to subscribe and all that stuff. So, Corey, are you about ready to kick it off with a Sunday? You're on mute, by the way. He might be testing audio levels here.
Corey, are you ready for wrapping up the Sunday show?
and sometimes Thursday. That one seems a little bit more demonic, but Sunday!
Corey Kerr, where can people find your amazing artwork on Sunday?
I want you all to go down to the website and pull open a browser, and at the top of that browser, I want you to type CoreyKerr.com/store. Then buy something.
Mugs, t-shirts, anything you can think of with the amazing artwork of Corey Kerr. It's all over the place. It's the mugs you need. It's Corey Kerr.
And it's well
for
worth it.
every day, including Sunday.
Sunday!
That's right, Sunday. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to our special Sunday show. I'm Joshua Kimball. You're on my channel. It's an amazing channel full of live streams, live art, and sappy indie comic books that you can buy, like Jacob's Apartment or Two Stories. So
Scott, where can we find your stuff?
And
You
that
can
way
find-
get notifications. Yes, where can we find Scott Serkland stuff?
You can find all kinds of tools for making comics as well as other products and things like that at my website at circworks.com. You can also find my new YouTube videos on my YouTube channel at Circworks Art Labs on YouTube. Definitely check it out.
YouTube, Circworks, it's going wild on Sunday. All right, Scott, and how can people keep notification with this fast-moving intensity of Artcasters? How do they know which channel it will be on?
Well, it could be on any channel. It could be on Josh's channel or Corey's channel, and it could be on almost any day, including Sunday, which is the first Sunday we've ever done it. But who knows, we may do another Sunday, or a Tuesday, or a Wednesday, or a Thursday, or a Friday. It doesn't, who knows? If you want to know when we're going to be on next, you just need to join the mailing list, and there's a link in the description. So click on that link, join the mailing list. We won't spam you or anything like that. All we do is notify you about 30 minutes before we go live, and you will know whose channel it's going to be on, who the guest is going to be, and all of that good stuff. So from me, Scott Serkland, Corey Kerr, Joshua Kimball, until next Sunday, or Thursday, or maybe we will take a break this week and we won't be on at all. If you're on the newsletter, you will know.
And with that demonic laughter, have an enjoyable Sunday.
I think we are going to do Thursday.
We are going to do Thursday. Thursday! All right, bye, guys.